Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Geeks About Gaming podcast. I'm Willden, and I'm by myself. Due to some technical issues, Kendall was not able to be here for the recording of this episode, but she will be back for the next one. In the meantime, your boy here is going to ride solo, so this is going to be something a little bit different of an experience here. We're going to see how it goes. It might be a little bit shorter. I'm just going to kind of cover the stories, give my little bit opinion on it, and we'll see where it goes from there. So we're going to start with like a little bit of intro and things like that. There's not necessarily a main story because Kendall and I were planning on talking about Last of Us Part 2, and that should be on our next episode as our main topic. So, starting things off, we usually start off with a howdy, which relates to like a games or a sale or something that's going on. As we mentioned, now officially for Epic, Killing Floor 2, Lifeless Planet, and The Escapist 2 are now on sale, guys. They're on sale for free. That's right, free. Yes, you can get those 3 games for free right now. As Kendall mentioned earlier last week, they're giving us 3 games this time because last time we kind of had issues with the whole Conan thing, which I still find is interesting. I still don't know what happened with that. Killing Floor 2, I played the first Killing Floor, was fun. I think Killing Floor 2, I got PlayStation. It's a good, fun game for shooting and things like that. Just not having to take too seriously. You're just shooting a bunch of people and creatures and all kinds of stuff, and it's just like a fun thing. Just a mindless game to just get your mind off things. Lifeless Planet, I've heard of, but I've never really played it myself. I don't know a lot about it. The Escapist, I know I've heard of it. I've heard there's the Escapists, like people and things like that. Sorry guys, I'm gonna take this off. It's fun. But they also announced that next week, which is interesting, there's only gonna be 1 game for free. There's only gonna be 1 game for free next week, and not 2, which is interesting. That being Torchlight 2. Now, Torchlight, I think I've tried one of the Torchlights before. I can't remember if it was 1, 2, or 3. And it was a fun game for what it is. Not really as much into my kind of thing. I don't do a lot of the top-down stuff too often. But it's if you like that sort of thing, it's worth getting. I've heard Torchlight's a good series overall, so that's gonna be the free game for next week on Epic. For like a sort of hot topic-ish thing, I know Kendall wanted to get more into the sort of thing of like what's been going on with Ninja, and specifically Ninja and TikTok. I'm not as well as versed in what's going on there, so maybe we might cover that a little bit later. But what I do know about Ninja is that he had his first big stream on YouTube. That was the thing. It was like, where's Ninja gonna go? After the whole Mixer thing shut down, Kendall and I had our own discussions about where we thought he might end up. I thought it was kind of likely that he might still come back to Twitch despite all that's happened. But I also thought it'd be a good move on YouTube's part to just pick up all the big players while they could. Being like Dr. Disrespect, Ninja, or, Shroud, things like that. So, as right now, YouTube at least has Ninja. And yeah, Ninja, he pretty much he built up the announcement like the day of, and then he was like, oh, I'm have an announcement, and they announced like, oh, I'm a YouTube, and he just went live with it. I'm assuming it went well. I'm sure he played with Courage and all that stuff, and he probably played Fortnite or Warzone or something like that. I assume it's going well for him. I have not checked his stream in the meantime as far as that goes. And yeah, so it's, we kind of expected this. We kind of expected this coming. I know there's this other thing called Brime that's been teased a lot. I joined the Discord, but I haven't looked too much into it, to be honest with you. I haven't looked a lot into it. But it's like supposed to be this like new app sort of thing that's like streaming sort of thing that goes in hand with like streamers and like TikTok and things of that sort, because we know TikTok right now is taking a little bit of a hit of sorts and it's kind of going downhill kind of quick. So we're curious to see how that is, because he's been teasing stuff with Brime that just kind of showed up and started teasing stuff. So we're going to see where that goes. We're going to see where it goes. But yeah, Ninja's now a part of the YouTube train. curious to see where the other ones are gonna go. And I'm soon we'll find out in a couple weeks and a half. I still see people being like, well, we still don't know what the hell's going on with Doc, what the story is there. People are still bringing it up once every 3 days for some reason of what's going on there. So that's how that goes. Yeah, and so, okay, now we're leading from that into other people joining things. There's this one gal streamer who goes by Nicolaw, I believe that's right, who is a gal that became really famous on, like, the TikToks and stuff like that, and everybody was simping over her and weaving out and all this kind of stuff, because she is a very attractive woman. And she's like been around for a minute. She's been streaming for a few years now, doing her thing. And yeah, just kind of sort of out of the blue, just announcement that she has officially joined 100 Thieves as their new content creator. And yeah, I don't know. I'm indifferent on it. I'm not much into 100 Thieves as much to be like, yay or nay on it. You know, it's the usual thing with the announcement. People whine and complain about it, and some people are like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And you never know. And I watched, like, her stream for a half a second, and she was, like, had a thing where they participate in this cutesy little video as the build-up to her being on the thing. It was kind of silly. It was kind of dumb, but it was fine, and it's what they do. So that just kind of expected. If they need another person, if they need to add somebody else, I wouldn't say no. If they're like, you know, Dayshot was like, or Courage was like, hey, or just like, hey, Dayshot was like, hey, you want to join? And I'd be like, yeah, all right, I guess, yeah, sure. I got nothing else going on right now. Why the heck not? The history of that, the first time in history, folks. The icon Willden and 100 Thieves. Imagine the headlines that would be. The first time in history, literally. The first time ever in history. But granted, when you have Willden be part of a group, that could work too. First time in history, Willden joins offline. Or whatever groups are out there. The one thing these groups have not done, I can promise you that, is have the Willden as part of their collective whole. So any of these big streamer groups that are out right now, I'm just letting y'all know, I'm open market now. And if y'all wait too long and not pay attention, and people pay attention to all these other people with their heads up their butts, I'm just saying, next thing you know, somebody's gonna catch me, and then y'all are gonna be like, shoot, I missed out. And I was like, well, I was here for a while. I'm just saying. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, Nicolaw joined 100 Thieves. Good for her. Cool, awesome. I think she's not even, like, because, like, 100 Thieves is local here in LA, and they have a compound thing, and she got to chill there and hang out with that. I don't know if she's staying I don't even know where she's located, but I don't think she's here, but she's doing whatever she's doing, and, yeah, good for her, I guess, and more interesting content. That's, the 100 Thieves thing, it's, you know, it's becoming its own entity in its business, so it's, hey, more power to them, you know what I'm saying? Okay. So, also, too, I just want to mention just briefly, again, with the whole streaming culture thing, guys, we need to be careful of how we treat certain people in this industry, because unfortunately, we lost another streamer, you know, who took their own life, and, like, I've heard her name, the gal's name before, talking about Alana here. I've heard her name mentioned in passing. I may have stopped by her stream once, but I wouldn't know if I saw her. I'll just say that. But I know a lot of people did, and a very beautiful lady. She seems like a nice gal from what people were saying, and unfortunately, she decided to take her own life, and it's really sad. You know, this is starting to take its toll, and again, it's like a reminder of us being quarantined and how we perceive things now are a lot more sensitive, or we think a lot more crazier thoughts and stuff like that. So especially now when we got the time, just make sure to talk with people. You know, y'all ain't doing nothing. Yeah, you're taking your selfie photos with your masks on top of your cars or on your little hikes and things of that sort, and people are starting to work again. But now this is the really time where you have to keep an eye on each other and just check on each other make sure everybody's okay. Tell people that you care about them, and that you love them, and then that, that they are noticed, and that people care, and that if they just keep going, they'll hopefully find a cool destination to end up at, So it's unfortunate we lost somebody else. But yeah, it's hopefully we can get through this. We're hitting a rough patch for this whole industry as a whole, especially with all these allegations coming out, and then now all this is happening. Again, it's a lot of things just backing one after the other, and it sucks. It really does. But there's only so much we can do. So just take care, guys. Just take care of yourselves, okay? We care about our fans of the podcast, and cared about the people that watch. That's all we try to do with this podcast, is just provide you not with just summation of news, but just talking as gamers of how we feel about things, and trying to be kind of brutally honest about it. Because it's stuff that needs to be discussed, I think. And I want to talk about it. If Kendall and I didn't want to do this, we wouldn't be doing it. We care about this. That's why we do this podcast, is for you guys. And for us ourselves, too. It's the right thing to do, and it feels right for us. This industry needs more stuff like this, I think. And hopefully it'll take us somewhere. That's all we can hope for. Now to less streamer-related stuff, we're going to move on to another person of interest that's not necessarily a streamer. He knows of streamers, but somebody, if you get people in the industry, somebody that's been in this industry for a long time, somebody that's been in this industry for so long, they've been in this industry longer, almost as long as I've been alive. 1 year less than I've been alive. This person was a part of this industry and company. Of course, I'm talking about Andy McNamara. And if you guys know anything about the history of this whole industry, you should at least know the name Andy McNamara. As I say, he's been the part of the magazine known as Game Informer, which Game Informer, for us growing up, that was always a part of our thing. We had, EGM, we had GamePro, the Game Informer came along. And then GameStop made a deal with Game Informer, and then became a thing, high school until college, where you sign up for the GameStop app thing, what was it called? I don't even know what it's called now. It's called Elite or something, but Power Up Rewards. That's what I was thinking of. You sign up for the Power Up Rewards thing, and then you always get Game Informer. And now being as old as I am, right, I would get the physical copies, because then as time went by, you could be like, oh, are you getting the physical copies or the digital? As time went by, I was like, I still want the physical stuff. I still wanted to get the physical copies of Game Informer, just because of the artwork and things of that sort. They always had really cool artwork. Now, they always tried to pick the game that was gonna be the next big thing. Sometimes they done goof. Sometimes they did the game they picked that was on the cover ended up not necessarily being the best game, but they always had still cool and interesting art. And it was cool that the last issue that he was on, it was for Cyberpunk, which is a game that I'm pretty sure everybody believes, for the most part, is going to be a pretty rad game. And the artwork on the cover looks really good if you haven't checked that out. And so it's a heck of a send-off. He was the head honcho, the head editor for oh lord, I don't know, as long as I can remember. I'm sure he started small and worked his way up. But have you ever seen any of Game Informer's content? If you ever read it, if you ever watched your YouTube, I know, I believe Andrew Reiner's taken over as the head honcho now. If you ever watched Game Informer on their YouTube for any period of time, you know who Andrew Reiner is. He's a big personality over there. Game Informer was always cool about doing the Let's Play playthroughs. There was a period of time, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, where I finally started discovering their YouTube, and I didn't realize they do Let's Play playthroughs. And they've been doing it for a couple years, and I was trying to, start all the way back to the beginning and catch up, and I never quite went back that far. And then I started consistently watching their playthroughs, because they would do, Dark Souls and be, 20 episodes. And then they would do, another weird, obscure game that for another 10 or 12 episodes. I mean, they would do entire playthroughs of the game, and they released in episodes each week, and always did enjoy that. And then they had, and that was what they called their super replays. And then they had their regular replays, which would be like they would play a game for like a half hour or 20 minutes, and then they would usually move on to a different game and play another one. And then every once in a while, those games that were on the regular replay will end up becoming super replay if it got like a lot of feedback or they really enjoyed playing it and things like that. And yeah, so Game Informer's been a part of our gaming industry culture for a while. It has since then kind of died down and things have happened. It's kind of hanging on by a thread just a little bit, but still hanging in there. And for it to transition from physical things to an online presence still be here, I mean, it's like as far as the big honchos go of gaming magazines, that's the last one left. It's the last major American, even international, like head honcho left as far as like generate gaming news, because EGM died, GamePro died, all these things died over time just because of like things like IGN or things of that sort. There was no reason to have physical printed magazines because that just became a thing of the past. But Game Informer is still hanging in there now, which is insane. And the fact that Andy McNamara has been there for 29 years is crazy. I can't imagine being at the same place for 29 years. Being at the same place for almost my entire lifespan. Almost my entire lifespan up to this point, to work at the same place. Man, like, talk about, like, must have really loved your job and things like that. I was watching a little bit of the podcast he did with Greg Miller. I haven't finished all of it, but it was interesting because it seemed like basically he left because people got let go and stuff, and that was the final straw. But for a while, he just kind of had enough, and he wanted to do something else before like he kicked the bucket, So he's now working with EA as a director of comm strategy, which I have to kind of continue to watch the podcast to see what specifically that means. But basically, he wanted to find a way to stay within the industry and use his gaming press knowledge to kind of help it. So I assume it has to do with like marketing and contacting like potential partners and things of that sort related to EA. And it's interesting too, because EA, as you know, as a company, it's on, for us as the community, it's a little on the lower end right now. They kind of goofed on some things. Jedi Fallen Order is really the first thing in a hot minute that people like kind of thoroughly enjoyed from them. So to have Andy, somebody's been in this industry for a while, to move over there, hopefully that's a good sign. Hopefully Andy can help give them a little bit of a boost and a boot that EA needs to kind of help them like restart a little bit, revamp a little bit, because I think that's what the company needs. So it's interesting that he went there over all these other big, already doing well companies that he managed to get over to EA, which is now considered not like the best company as far as content goes right now. So hopefully we'll hear a couple months from now, EA will turn itself around and Andy will help that, transition happen smoothly. That's all we can hope for. So yeah, I mean, heck, that's crazy. Again, 29 years. I'm 30 years old, y'all. So when he started Game Informer when I was 1, like, holy Lord. I mean, and he's seen it all. He's seen it all from when it was just print to when it moved into internet, then moved into YouTube and everything. I mean, he's seen the entire spectrum of gaming journalism over this whole thing. So if you'll not know like who Andy McNamara is, I highly recommend that you look it up. I feel like all these big streaming personalities that are now being part of these shows, which I'll bring up later, should know who he is. And if they don't know like who some of these people are in the industry, I feel like they shouldn't have that position, no matter how popular and things they are of that sort. But that's just my opinion. What do I know? Apparently, I don't know anything. And yeah, so that's, it's a heck of a story, man. You see people move on, just like when Reggie moved on from Nintendo, is doing his own podcast. It's, he was a essential part of the identity of Game Informer, and luckily, like Andrew Reiner is also an essential part of it, and that he's still hanging on to it. Like if he left too, if a couple of these other guys kind of left that are an integral part, I don't know if Game Informer would probably be like dying here pretty shortly. Hopefully, Reiner can keep it going as long as we can. And we'll see. We'll see what goes from there. Yeah. So that was a big interesting thing that didn't happen. A lot of people leaving companies recently and joining new companies. That seems the big thing since quarantines happened. And I'm still just trying to find a job in the industry, much less that. But when people are free and they're popular, they take them, snatch them up. So I feel. Other things. So I haven't. Okay. So, apparently, Twitch, our streaming platform here, love you guys to death, but Twitch done goofed. People make mistakes, companies make mistakes, but they kind of done goofed. Twitch, I haven't seen this video, right? So, let me put that into context. I can't fully know all the facts here, but from what I've heard, basically, Twitch released a Black Lives Matter video to help support, like, Black Lives, and here's Black content creators and things like that. And basically what I heard was there was not really any Black content creators in the video, which is an interesting choice. It's kind of fall flying on its face kind of sort of thing. I know I saw a tweet by Lana Pierce saying, like, hey, like, they put me in this video, and they didn't necessarily tell me that this was gonna happen. I had no idea. I didn't want to be part of this, and other content creators as well. And things like Twitch, man, like Twitch, I love you to death, guys, and you're doing cool stuff, and I want to succeed on your platform, but it's like, come on, guys, you should have known better than this. You should have known better than this. And again, it goes to the same fact. It's like all these people in this industry get tired that apparently I'm not good enough qualified enough for. But all these people who make this stupid decisions can. It's a little, like, perplexing to me. But again, that's why I want to do this whole thing. That's why we're going to try to do this podcast and change the things for the better. That's what we got to do. We got to take a stand. Even if it's against the people we love. If they're doing something stupid, they need to be called out on it, and then there has to be some sort of punishment for it. They can't get away with doing certain things like this. So I hope whoever decided to pull that dumb idea, gets a good talking to, and they can, maybe not try to release another one, just kind of let it go and admit they done goofed. If anything like this happens in the future, they took a little more precaution with it. But I was like seeing that, I was like, come on, guys, really? Come on. Like, again, like, I'm not the smartest box in the tool shed, but again, like, if these people making these decisions think it's okay, like, I know I'm as smart as these people are. I could tell you that with 100% certainty. So, but who knows? Apparently, I don't know any better. But yeah, that was. I was like, that's random. Again, I haven't seen the video, but I'm just going by what I heard. If what I've heard's true, really? Like, okay, fine. Also, moving on. So, there was this little thing last week that we talked about in our episode, right? So, last week came out this big rumor where Giancarlo Esposito, Lord if I say his name right, who is a beloved actor, and as always tends to play a villain character. Not always, but most part, he's a villain character of 3 different shows right now. Hinted at the fact that he's involved in the big AAA like game release. Didn't say what it was, but it said it was like a new way of filming and something a little bit different than he'd done before. And naturally, for some reason, we were like, oh, him. He's a villain guy. He plays villains in games. What game series is associated with villains being a prominent thing? Far Cry, that was a natural jump in assumption. Well, folks, as it turns out, every once in a while, this internet gets something kind of right. And in this case, we were kind of right. Yes, it was confirmed that Giancarlo Esposito is in a new Far Cry game, Far Cry 6. Kind of got leaked a little bit, but then again, as the joke always says, we wouldn't have a Ubisoft E3 without something getting leaked. They're gonna be premiering it on their Ubisoft 4 tomorrow, which I will be watching, and hopefully we'll talk about it on next week's episode and go over things about that. But yeah, Far Cry 6, he's on the cover. There's this little kid that he's taking care of. He's basically like a head honcho of like a criminal organization, and there's like the son that works under him that's like learning things from him. I think his name's Diego. There's a big theory right now that this could possibly be a prequel to Far Cry 3 because the Diego character looks a little similar to the Voss character because he happens to have a little same mark on the same eyebrow, and then people are just like, well, that has to mean that he's him. And, you know, things where like the actor that's played Voss has hinted that he might come back, so people are thinking maybe this is a prequel of sorts to Far Cry 3. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's a solid argument. If that turns out to be the case, I wouldn't be surprised. If not, then that's cool too. You know, we're curious to see how it goes. Far Cry is really weird because I feel like I've seen varied stuff. I know people that love Far Cry 5 and it gets a lot of attention, but I've also heard people that didn't like Far Cry 5 at all and thought it was a little like went a little bit in the wrong direction. And then there's people that think Far Cry 3 is the best, and then there's some people, even a person I saw said Far Cry 4 is the best one. Some people think that's the worst one. It's just Far Cry, as far as like who likes which entry, is very all over the place with Far Cry. Far Cry is all over the place. There's no particular group that, like, maybe Far Cry 3 everybody can join together and say it's a good one, but as far as if that's the best one or not, it's a whole different story. Everybody's got their own opinions on the Far Cry series. I've liked all the Far Cries for the most part. I've liked all of them differently. I can't say whether, like, Far Cry 3 was one of the better ones, but I don't know if it was, like, my favorite. I don't know. The only Far Cry game I never really liked was Primal. I played, like, about half of it. I just couldn't finish it. To me, that's, like, it just was not the best one that they've done. The only Far Cry I never really played was the first. The first Far Cry I ever had was 2. And I remember having fun with 2. I had it on the 360. I never finished it. But I remember it was like in Africa and things like that. And it was fun for the time. But 3 is really where it started honing in on what the franchise was going, as far as climbing stuff and driving and blowing turtles up or what you know, what have you. And the villains. 3 was what started the whole villains being the front and center of the game sort of thing, right? Ever since 3, every cover has the main villain now. Which they didn't have a 1 or 2. 1, it was just like a dude coming out of the war with a knife in his mouth. And the second one was like an elephant in some grass or something like that. And maybe like half a person in like a weird sort of scope thing or something like that. But there wasn't really anybody on the second one as far as I remember. And then it was like a weird spin-off of 1 or expansion or something. I don't know. But anyway, I'll probably play it because it's Far Cry. I usually enjoy the Far Cry games overall. I'll play it through. One of the few games where I could usually finish it. I've finished all the Far Cries I played, except for Primal, like I said, because I just couldn't get into it. But 3 and 4 and 5, I have finished playing. I am tempted myself to go back and replay 3 now all this talk's been brought up just because. Oh, also Blood Dragon. That's a favorite a lot of people like as well. If you're a fan of a certain sci-fi genre. So yeah, it's interesting that Ubisoft confirmed they're like, okay, fine, and then we'll find out at the Ubisoft Forward as far as like the details of it all, and maybe we'll know for sure if it's a, you know, prequel or a sequel or maybe a bit of both, maybe back and forth timeline. We'll find out. So yeah, that got announced. As well, just a little thing, IGN announced too as well that they got the thing to they're partnering the SDCC to bring content. So that's gonna be, besides Comic-Con, streaming on their own thing. IGN's also gonna be doing their online thing as well with them, and it's gonna be happening, I think, the same week as Comic-Con. So as far as game specific stuff goes, probably IGN's gonna be the main place to go for that. We will, as far as when San Diego Comic-Con goes, I know I'm going to keep track of it. I know it's a little bit more varied. It's a lot of film stuff and television stuff as well, but there's a little bit of game stuff here and there and things of that sort. So yeah, we'll be sure to cover that. As well too, okay, we have an unveiling, and let me see if I can bring this up right here. Whoops. Boop. Yeah, look at this, baby. Look at this. This is on IGN's site. That's right, folks. The first official box art for not just Spider-Man Miles Morales, but the PlayStation 5. This is for IGN. The official box art has been unveiled. Kind of similar to the first Spider-Man game, we can say. He's got fire electric energy, which is interesting. But yeah, as you can see for the PlayStation 5, we've got the blue case, which we've had with the PS4. But here, it's white. This used to be all blue, I believe. And then they did red for, like, the best of, or whatever. And now we have the white. I mean, it looks good. It looks good. It's nice to see what the thing's gonna be like. I'm still not sure as far as the next gen goes. I might end up going full digital, but then again, the backwards compatible hard drive, I don't know. Again, we'll have to see the price. But it looks pretty good. I like the cover. I'm curious to see what the back's gonna be, but it's weird. It's just like a black background, just like the Spider-Man one was. And, yeah, the suit looks good. Very solid, folks. Very solid. But yes, the official first ever box art of a PlayStation game is Spider-Man. Which is good. That's unveiled with the franchise that now PlayStation's associated with. It's the new hot thing. Again, it's not Spider-Man 2. That's not coming out till later. It's just Spider-Man Miles Morales. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Also, a little thing. This is a little side thing. I'm just letting you guys know, just for lulz. So, Death Stranding, you know, we had Horizon, which is coming to PC next month. And then also Death Stranding got announced for coming to PC next month. Well, they're doing a little special now, temporarily, where if you go through Amazon, you could get a 24-pack Monster Energy drink for $27, basically. $27. That's a lot of monsters. That's a lot of monsters. And the reason be like, well, then why it's monsters? Well, I haven't played a game, but I do know this. Apparently, Norman Reedus in the game, he drinks monsters. The Monster Energy drinks are actually in the game as like a product placement advertisement. And he like just grabs his monsters and he can drink them all to heck. I like the traditional monsters, as you know. It's coming to PC. Oh, it's coming to PC next week, actually. So it's coming out before Horizon, which is interesting. Yeah, and you can get a collector's edition of the PC version for $130, I think, as well. But yeah, so basically, if you sum up, it's $1.13 a can, guys. Now, you could say it's technically, it's not the biggest sales, 21% off, but that's a pretty good deal. The only catches with things like this you have to be careful of with cans and Amazon is sometimes you're taking a risk that one or two cans might not, you know, show up exactly the way you want them to. So that's the only risk you're taking there. So you might lose a can or two in the process, but hey, if you like monsters like I do, you know, I did always want one of those monster coolers that they have, you know, like the monster mini fridges. Dude, that'd be dope just to have that. Even just to put anything in it. I wouldn't care what it is. I want, hopefully, if I become, this podcast becomes very successful, Kendall and I will have our own Geeks About Gaming fridge that we can use. Our little mini fridge, like Monster or something. Whoever sponsors us, G Fuel, somebody, I don't know. But that's a goal. That's a goal we're gonna. Well, if we ever get this big enough, we're gonna have our own office. If Geeks About Gaming blows up and we become our own company and have an office, then we'll have one of those little mini fridges in it. We need one of those. Again, 100 Thieves had those stupid little mini fridges in it. I want the little mini fridges. I want the little soda things that go bloop that pop out on my desk when I press a button. I don't want one of those. All you gotta do is just like take it and you store it in a rack under your desk and you boop and it goes. Whoosh. But I'm just trying to help you guys out too. That's the thing. So I'm trying to help you out too. Also, Amazon. Oh boy, Amazon. Amazon again owns Twitch, things like that. Been coming out with some games recently. They have this new MMO coming out called New World that some people be excited to hype for. I guess they had the alpha kind of come out and people test it out. Supposedly, I guess it seems like it didn't go over as well as they wanted to, so they're delaying the launch of it till 2021. They're also having a beta that's moved to the spring. And this is according to IGN as well. By Adam Bakers. The alpha phase is just to have. They want to ensure players to have plenty of middle and end-game experiences to venture through Aeternum. This is according to New World's Lawrence, who is the director, Rich Lawrence. But if you already paid for the game in advance and you did the alpha and you signed up for the beta, you'll be able to play New World in its current state on August 25th. So if you already pre-ordered it already, then you're gonna still be able to play it, the original beta and all that, and the way the game is on its original release date. It's just that if you decide to buy it now or anything like that, the beta for it's gonna be next year, and you're just gonna have to wait a full year to play the full thing the way it's supposed to be. I'm just guessing. It seems like, from what I'm hearing from the alpha, they're saying they want to extend stuff, but I'm thinking the community wasn't super happy with what they were getting. I saw gameplay footage of it on IGN's thing, and it's not my kind of game. It was a little Resident Sleeper for me, if you ask my opinion. But again, it's not a game for me. But it's been delayed, so hopefully it'll, they give themselves plenty of time to improve things and things like that, and we'll see where it goes. Also very interesting. Very interesting. Just in case you guys haven't been paying attention, Sony's been making some moves. Sony invested $250 million into Epic Games. And not in a minority stake. They put that much into a minority stake. Not majority stake. This isn't Disney, taking over Hulu kind of thing. Just a minority stake. Which is interesting to a lot of people, because Sony kind of has its own engines and stuff it works with. So people are a little well, this is interesting, because why would they even bother when they got their own thing going on? But, they made deals for Fortnite and things of that sort. But then when they had the demo, they cut, the Unreal Engine thing, it was on PlayStation. You knew it was, you could tell by looking at the little buttons in it. So maybe they have some sort of, higher connection thing there. Let's see. Yeah, it's only important that, a 1.4% stake, which isn't a big amount. It's a good amount money-wise, because Epic Games is worth $17.6 billion. This is according to VentureBeat. And so that's very interesting. It's a very interesting sort of thing. Oh, Dean Takahashi is the writer, by the way. It's a very interesting move, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Just Sony wants to make sure, they're involved with Epic because that's the new best engine right now. They want to make sure they have a little bit of themselves kind of everywhere they can. And that's kind of the thing we go with here with that. Also, as another thing that just randomly kind of happened that nobody saw coming, as you know, there's this. If you're a gamer sort of person, there's a book I would recommend you read if you haven't read it, called Ready Player One. And yes, you're well then that sounds familiar. Was that also sound familiar? Yes, because they made a movie about it. Was it last year? Maybe 2 years ago? Steven Spielberg made a movie version of Ready Player One. It was okay. It was fine. It wasn't his best. It wasn't his worst. It was okay. But supposedly, just out of the blue, the writer, Ernest Cline, has wrote a sequel. He wrote another one, Ready Player 2. And they're not saying they're gonna make a sequel movie or anything like that. I don't think it made enough for them to do a sequel movie. It's probably not gonna happen. But a new book sequel to original Ready Player One. I recommend reading Ready Player One, even if you've seen the movie. Like, read the book, just give her sort of thing like that. It's coming out in November 24th, and you actually can pre-order it now. As a matter of fact, you can actually pre-order it now. You can get print hardcover version. You can get a digital version. You can get audio book version, I think. So yeah, if you liked Ready Player One, the book, sequel's coming out. You can pre-order it now. Get in there. Eventually, I'll get it. I couldn't tell you when, because the hardcover it's like $25, and I'm just like, ooh, right now. But yeah, so that was a lot. I don't think anybody knew he was working on a sequel, but he was like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a sequel coming out, and it's coming out in November. And we're like, oh, okay. Why not? It's a good time for it to come out during the quarantine anyway. You know, it's been a few years since the last one, so good for him, I guess. Good for him. So a couple of the last stories here. Then Video Game Entertainment News Network, which is the new thing. It's supposed to be like the new G4. Your boy's trying to get his butt involved in it somehow. He's been trying for a while. Host or something, for goodness sakes. Is coming out. It's launching a beta August 5th, and they've already announced some people and some shows for this gaming platform, including an Arcade Live, hosted by Dash, if you know League of Legends, a Dare package, which is going to be hosted by Austin, you know, the Raz show and stuff like that, which is competition, a Guest House, hosted by Chrissy Constanza, if you know, like, Against the Current or anything like that. She's been around for a while. Talk about, like, creating, like, art studios and production and creating their own venture. Sushi Dragon's getting his own show just to basically do whatever he already does. So, good for him. And then Looking for Gains, which is going to be a exercise-related show. And like a workout sort of thing, hosted by Cash Nasty. So they're coming out in. Your boy's still trying to get me, Kendall, with a podcast involved in this thing, because it's like a G4 sort of thing. I've been heavily trying to, like, annoy the crap out of them to get involved, because this is the kind of thing that we've been waiting for. This is the opportunity. This is the real test. They said they're going to be like G4 was, a successor to this, big gaming stuff. Let's see what it does, okay? Hopefully, the way things go, as I believe they should have newer talent come in and shine. That's what G4 did and stuff like that. Had on people that weren't really well known, things like that sort. Now, all these people so far, they're all pretty well known, and which is the opposite of what I just said. But you gotta keep in mind too, they're premiering the thing. You need some sort of well-known names just to draw attention. After all, they are launching this, so I'm not too upset about it. I still have the littlest hope that Willden can finally make his professional debut at Venn in some sort of capacity, for goodness sakes. I hope so, as much as I've been driving them nuts. Probably a little bit too much. But yeah, a lot of variety stuff. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, they're hitting it hot here. They've been quiet for a good while. And then now they just kind of are hitting the ball swinging. And now let's talk about our last story of sorts. We were talking about Ubisoft events coming up and things like that, but today, because we had our delay, today was the Devolver Direct happened today, folks. And if you ever watched any of the previous years of Devolver's Direct, it's one of the most interesting showcases out of the whole E3 gaming events season. And boy, let me tell you all, this year did not. I wouldn't say it didn't disappoint. It was to be as professional I can, but also be real with you. This Devolver Digital Expo, y'all, was batshit insane. It was batshit insane. It was. I'm watching something like I feel like I need to be on LSD to take in what this Devolver Digital stuff was doing. They've been developing a storyline like the last few years, and they continue with the storyline. A lot of things to do with robots, redheaded woman yelling, tell everybody to go fuck off, and things like that. With an occasional game reveal here and there. It had some cool guest appearances. We had Ray Yoshida, we had Jeff Keighley, we had Phil Spencer. We've got some stuff. We got Shadow Warrior. We've got a Legia, which is like a old school like Prince of Persia, like 6 or 8-bit sort of thing. We have Weird West, which is a game created by Designer and Prey people. It's like an action RPG. We're gunslingers. Blightbound, which is a dungeon crawler. Carry On, which is a horror game. And Serious Sam 4, because we can't, Serious Sam 4 has to just go on. This series has been around for a hot minute, and since Duke Nukem just kind of died right on his face pretty hard, Serious Sam's really the only last one standing. And he's back, and he's still going, and it's going to be released on PC and Stadia. Oh, Stadia. Oh, man. Stadia. Oh. We need to have a podcast. We got to do a whole podcast episode, me and Kendall, about Stadia. And about that. Because that's a story. That's a story we're talking about. Stadia. It's gotten to that point, folks, where people are like, oh, yeah, Stadia's still a thing. That's still a thing? It's still being advertised on stuff? Poor Stadia. It really just ran into the door on the way out. But yeah, I would recommend. It's one of the things, the Devolver thing. If you haven't watched one, I would just watch all of them so you can get the full story arc, because they have a full story arc that develops for this thing. And especially this one, like, they were shown behind the scenes during the credits, and they have, like, full, like, cameras. I don't know if they're, like, red cameras or stuff, but, like, this had a big production value to it. They got some money. I don't know if it's because just, like, the last couple years they did so well. I guess they probably got, like, a little more extra funds, and are like, here, you fucking go. And they had, like, green screen and my camera zooming out, just talking about it. Man, it was a heck of a thing to watch. You just have to watch for yourself to see what I'm talking about. Well, I'm talking about batshit insane. Like, words can't describe what happened during this Devolver Digital. I'm not kidding. Like, there was an entire sequence where a lot of it was split screen, and some lady sniper shot another lady talking about something else, like, in the middle of the thing. I'm like, I never thought watching the game conference online that was for public press information that you'd see one person head snipe another person. An actual person. I'm not even talking about in the game. It's an actual person doing this. And I was like, okay. That's the era we're in now, though. But it's crazy. It's bad. And then the lady, like, the redhead gal, and then the main gal, Lisa, that everybody likes, she fucking gives this killer-ass speech that kills it. And then they end it. And here's the interesting part. They end it with the announcement of Devolverland Expo, which is literally, they took part of the LA Convention Center, it seems like. It seems like, I haven't tried it yet. It seems like they actually mapped out part of the LA Convention Center, which you've never been, that's where E3's held. And they created a virtual convention just for Devolver. And you're talking about, like, it's a first-person simulation where you walk around different booths that are set up for each game. You play game demos of each game at the booths, and you get prizes and collectibles. There's even, like, a merch store where you can buy merch and things like that. I'm going to try this very soon. But yeah, they announced that, which is an interesting thing. And depending on how well this goes, I think will determine, it's like, could we see stuff like this in the future? Could we see a PlayStation or an Xbox be like, hey, look, you can go and download it on your console and have the simulation thing? Now, as of right now, you can get this Devolver Land Expo thing. It's free, guys. It's free to do it. You just downloaded it. They announced it, like, as soon as the thing was in. They're like, available now for free, download it. You should be able to still download it now, I would think. So yeah, download it, y'all. Download the thing and try it out. It's a new kind of thing. Depending on how this goes, it'd be really cool to have more convention simulations, at least for the next year, because we can't be there, right? I miss being at conventions. I do. I miss the craziness of it. But to have virtual, like, convention things where you can go in, they said, I don't know if they said maybe there's going to be other people in there, or you're just by yourself, but either way, it sounds pretty cool, and I can give you my thoughts on it on next week's episode of how that goes. But man, Devolver just was coming in hot today. They were just losing it. Just like lots of shouting, lots of like this. They make me like seem half the stuff I say on the stream just a normal, natural thing. That's what this Devolver thing did. Like that little bit I did right there is it's minute, it's small, it's calm compared to what they had in the Devolver Digital Direct. Let me tell you all that. Holy crap. Wow. And that kind of sums up the journal news of everything. Like I said, we didn't have like a main topic. It was going to be Last of Us 2, but hopefully Kendall and I could cover that in the next episode. I'll just finish with this. We always talk about our wealth, what we've been playing this week. As far as what I've been playing this week, I finally started, after all this time, I finally started a Persona game. I started Persona 4. First ever Persona game. It was a game that was gifted to me. I finally tried it out to see why everybody's like, this is the greatest thing of all time, or whatever, you know. And it's, I'm digging it so far. It's not bad so far. It's not bad. There was a lot of, it took a while to get to the action. Once I'm getting to the action, it's not too bad. We'll see how I feel as I continue my journey, because I barely scratched the surface. I hear these things are kind of long. We'll see how it goes. I like the TV aspect of this one in particular. And if I keep playing and liking it, maybe I will try Persona 5 Royale. Because I thought originally that was going to be the first one I played, but then Persona 4 got announced for Steam, and everybody was flipping out about that. And here, the music's good. People always talk about how the music in these games are good. I can't argue that. The music, there's 5 of this one, it's a little hip-hoppity, jazzy, a little bit like upbeat sort of thing. And yeah, it's a really fun little experience. I can keep updated with it down the road at how that feels. I don't know, like, Kendall's been playing too much. I know Valorant's still a thing. I haven't played Valorant in a hot minute, guys. It's been a while. I might have to play some today. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been kind of playing. I've been trying all different kinds of new stuff. I know there's stuff on Game Pass, like Fallout 76 is back on Game Pass, and things of that sort. So, with that, folks, I think it's going to be time to wrap up this episode. I managed to hit just roughly an hour or so on it, which I was, like, hoping to do. I said it's going to be a little shorter because it's just me talking, giving my just quick thoughts and opinions on things. Hopefully next week, Kendall should be ready to go. Her equipment should be set and all that, and we'll continue with our usual episodes on Friday at 7 p.m. I know why I shouted Friday so loudly, but I was very enthusiastic about it. Next Friday at 7 p.m. Make sure to tune in for that. Again, I will be posting this later, sometime this next coming week on our Twitter, just in case you missed it while it was live. In the meantime, guys, we will see you on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your week in gaming. Have fun, and we'll see ya. Bye!